if I saw another day, only to scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old ways, taking off without the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, it won't be as simple for you.
Yo, guys, I'm back. So I really should get back into the studio at some point, but I'm just trying to sort a few things. Hopefully, you guys, we added a few new things, new logo icon, new banner, and new intros, few graphics, just to sort of spice things up. So let me know what your thoughts are on the new the new work. Thanks to everyone who's obviously tuning in. Shout out to Kobe and Adam Talks as well. But before I go live with this, Harland to meet Ollie and United. That's according to latest reports. But before we get into it, if you're new to the channel, to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Hit the like button. It helps with the algorithm. Follow us on Twitter, We Are United X, and smash the notification for latest United news. There's going to be a lot of things. We'll be doing a community update at some point where I basically talk about going this channel forward. Where I think that what I'm going to see a United fan talking about United content, that I do want to be looking at other things, other teams, other sports, etc. I think we'll be covering that in the not too distant future. So that's why there's sort of a bit of a rebrand shift, if that makes any sense. So just bear that in mind. Anyway, let's get into it. Shout out to Adam Talk Sports in the comments. He's not going to come, let's be honest. Well, this is the thing. This is according to Manchester Evening News, and that Mino Raiola jets in for talks over Erling Haaland to Manchester United transfer. Now, yesterday, obviously, there was a lot of talk around Erling Haaland because he basically was in Spain meeting the presidents of Barcelona and Real Madrid to discuss basically the future projects and what have you. Now, I think this came as a shock. I mean, we're still in the midway season. In fact, the Dortmund allowed him to just go out and do his thing. It is what it is, but that's what happened. So he's now gone, and apparently he's meeting with the 5 big clubs. So reportedly, Manchester City, Chelsea, and Manchester United are going to basically be involved in this thing. Some people saying PSG, but to be honest, PSG for me, from what I saw, they've never really highlighted that they were wanting to pursue Harland. And to be honest, they need to focus on Neymar and specifically Mbappe in terms of a new contract. So I don't think you're going to be seeing PSG bidding for Harland. So I think they're out. Bayern, obviously, well, they're not going to, and they're sort of out of it. So really, we're looking at the English teams, and so he's going to be meeting in London. And I'll go into the article here, and before I give my thoughts on what I think is likely, how it's going to work, etc., from a more of a realistic point of view, not just a fan point of view. Obviously, get your thoughts in the comments as well. It goes a long way. So, Mino Raiola and Alf-Inge are reportedly set to hold talks in Manchester and several other Premier League clubs of the future of Erling Haaland. The agent of the super striker, who we know because he's the agent of Paul Pogba, will reportedly jet in England today to transfer talks with Manchester United and 3 other Premier League clubs. Haaland is a top transfer target for United heading into some window, as he was before last year, but the club faces stern competition to sign a 20-odd, more so compared to last time. This is why Edward Wood is a bandsman, because we had less competition last time before we went to Dortmund, and now there's a lot more competition. So there you go. Although it does show the United no talent, because no one was talking about Erling Haaland before he moved to Dortmund, but United were interested. So, we know our talent. That gives me a bit of hope. Anyway, Man City also in the running, and the men understands that Pep Guardiola is confident of Erling Haaland as a replacement for the departing Sergio Aguero. It is also revealed on Thursday that his father, Alf-Inge Harland, along with agent Mino Raiola, had flown to Spain for talks, obviously, as we talked about before. Borussia Dortmund reportedly won 180 million euro for Harland, a fee which would equal what Paris Saint-Germain paid Monaco to sign Kylian Mbappe 3 years ago. That's important. Harland has scored 49 goals for Bundesliga games since joining Dortmund from Red Star Salzburg, so Red Bull Salzburg in January 2020, while he's also the fastest player in history to reach 20 Champions League goals, having managed in just 14 matches. That is insane, by the way. So you look at his stats, 49 and 49, that's 1 goal a game. And then 20 in 14 games, that's 1 goal a game. That's insane. That's insane. And according to Spanish outlet Madrid Deportivo, Alf-Inge and Raiola will meet with United, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool in London to see if they will be a suitable fit for Harland. Speaking about Haaland's future with the BBC, Raiola recently said it is obvious that everybody's looking at Erling as one of those potential new future stars because it's so difficult to do what he does at his age, at his level, he said. He will be one of the future stars of the next decade because we see that stars such as Ibrahimovic, Ronaldo and Messi are coming to an age where everyone asks themselves, how long can we still enjoy them? So everyone is looking for the new generation. Only a maximum of 10 clubs can afford to buy Harland and give the platform you would like after you've been in Dortmund, and 4 of the 1 team who would not be interested in having Lewis Hamilton. That's obviously the words from Raiola. Those are the words from Raiola, man. Those are Raiola's words. Just a few comments from Adam. His agent he didn't want to go. I mean, those are the words. Those are the words from Raiola himself that I've seen spoken about from BBC. So we're going to dissect that. How much would you pay for Harland? He would cost 150 mil. Yeah, it'd be 150 million pounds or 160 with 180 million euro equivalent. That's how much he would most likely cost. Shane as Harland won't go to us. Raiola doesn't have a good impression of our club. Plus, the other clubs are much more efficient in the market. And it's not good. Offer 90 million plus Rashford. I mean, we certainly need to give them a player. So shout out to Kobe's wife. I forgot to mention Kobe's in the comments as well. It's interesting. It really, really is interesting. Okay, I guess first and foremost, let's actually look at things from a logical standpoint. Okay, we know that there are multiple clubs that are interested in Erling Haaland. From the big clubs around Europe, it's likely the likes of Bayern Munich, PSG, and the Italian clubs like Juve, etc., are out for various different reasons. But they're not. I don't think they're going to be involved. Certainly not Juve and the Italian clubs. PSG, although they could afford it, I don't think they're going to be in a situation to do it right now. And Bayern, because I don't think Bayern are wanting to pursue Erling Haaland as of yet. I mean, I guess they could, but you've still got Lewandowski there. If Harland were to go to Bayern, he'd displace Lewandowski, and I just don't think that's going to happen. So that's just not going to happen. Shane 10 says, do you know who are the other English clubs that Haaland are talking to? Because Chelsea United are probably talking to. So who is the other one? It might be. Yeah. So in the article, Raiola mentioned 4 other clubs. So I think it's Chelsea, City, Liverpool, and United, because Raiola says there are not that many clubs in England that can give the platform. Now, this should be I'd like to think the final nail in the coffin for people that think that Arsenal are somehow a big club, because they're not. Just to anyone who thought that Arsenal is still a big club, they're not, because it's shown that if you want to be a superstar, be a brand, etc., whatever you say about United's success, the reality is that as a player's individual, if you go to United, you still have the global appeal to be a big brand. And this is what people need to think about. It's not just necessarily winning trophies. Yes, players want to win a Champions League. Yes, that is true. But players also want to be, a lot of these guys, especially if they're agents to Raiola, want to be superstars. And if you're going to be a superstar, you're not going to be a world superstar by going to Spurs. You're not going to be a world superstar by going to let's say an Atalanta or whatever. You need to go to a place where you're going to have the platform and you're going to have the global access to push and search your work. And that's why, no matter what Raiola says about Manchester United, He will always deal with Manchester United because Manchester United are one of the biggest clubs in the world with the biggest appeal, with the biggest access to marketing, etc., which a lot of other clubs do not have. In comparison, I'd say certainly more so than Chelsea, in my opinion. Just a few cities. Adams, we can't get Harland when we have a terrible manager. I don't think that has anything to do with it. I mean, bearing in mind that Erling Haaland, the original manager, Mulder, the guy who actually kick-started Erling Haaland, was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. People seem to forget that. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was the one who made Erling Haaland. Then he obviously then left to go to Salzburg and then obviously went to Manchester United. So it was Ole that, if it wasn't for Ole, Erling Haaland wouldn't be where he was. So I think people forget that. Even if we buy Harland, we won't buy anyone else. We spend 100 on. Yeah, exactly. So this is the thing. I think, and Raiola doesn't get on with Pep, and I don't think it's City. I think that, according to Manchester Evening News, the reports show that Pep Guardiola does want Harland. Whether he can make an arrangement with Raiola is another matter, because Raiola obviously puts his clients first. And also wants a substantial fee, because the trend I've noticed with a lot of Raiola clients is that they tend to move clubs every 3 years or so. And so what I would expect is that if Harland is not going to sign for a club that's going to be on has a long-term, it's like a 7-year contract or 8-year contract, I don't think that's going to happen. I think what's going to happen is that he's going to sign with that is going to give a 3, maybe 4-year deal, much like with Pogba. And then once that's done, it's like, right, okay, bye-bye time. That's it. I want to move on to the next project. And the things with Harland is that, and this is why I think this is quite important, is that he's only 20. So if he signs a contract, let's say a 3 or 4-year contract, he's still not even in his prime yet. So he can easily go to, let's say, United or Chelsea, etc., and then move to a Madrid or something like that. It's possible. So this is not necessarily Erling Haaland's big move. It's just this move from Dortmund is like, right, okay, I'm a solid player. I now want to go take my game to the next level and be a superstar and try and compete for major trophies, like league titles, like Champions League. And then as I get into my prime, then I'll circumvent that, if that makes any sense. But as far as the likelihood of either or, I think of the 5 teams, like I said, I think the 5 are Madrid, Barca, City, United, and Chelsea. I don't think Liverpool are in this. I know people mention Liverpool. Unless Liverpool make massive sales, I don't see Liverpool, spending 150 million on FSG. Is definitely not going to do that. So, and I just maybe. But I would be very, very surprised if Liverpool spent a bit of 150 million, having not sold anybody. Even when they got Van Dijk and Alisson, they'd sold Coutinho for 150 million. So I'd be very, very surprised if that was the case. I just wouldn't. I don't think it's going to be Liverpool. At Shane's, with 150 million, you can buy Varane and Sancho, or possibly Rice. The money can be spent. Yeah, no, and the thing is, I agree. I do agree. I agree. But this is the thing about a board, is that with our board, it's that we don't, especially with Ed Woodward, is that we don't think like that logically. We don't think about the load. Having a good Friday, G. I'm having a good Friday, G. I hope you're having a good Friday. Nevin's having a good Friday as well. Where do you think Holland will go? It's a tricky one. And like I said, okay, so if I was to go through all the different scenarios, let's say 5, 6 clubs that are in for him. I've already sort of discounted PSG and Bayern Munich and the Italian clubs, so I think that they're not involved. Real Madrid, okay, yes. You go to Real Madrid. Real Madrid are in the sort of a semi-process of a rebuild. I think they've got a lot of players on the way out. They've got some nice young players coming in, that are there, but the likes of Ramos, Kroos, Modric, and Benzema and so on, they're all coming towards their end. So if Harland goes to Real Madrid, he's going to a Real Madrid side that are beginning or / in a process of a rebuild, and he's going to be spearheading that. The other thing I think with Harland going Madrid is that Benzema is still at Madrid, and I think the key thing with Madrid or Madrid's plan or offer is this is a negative is you know, Harland presumably wants to be a starting player. Okay, he wants to be a starting player. So, and I know Zidane, at least while Zidane is still Real Madrid manager, he has an immense loyalty to Benzema, and so I would be very, I think that you're going to have to start one of the two, is what I'm trying to say. And I don't think that Harland is going to move to a club where he's not going to be guaranteed at least first team regular football, not an off the bench thing. On the plus side, Madrid can probably afford the money still, although I still think they need to sell maybe one or two players. And with the likes of Odegaard, for example, and a few others that are Norwegian, that are settled, they're good friends, he might be able to tempt him to come back. Odegaard, sorry, and tempt him to come to Real Madrid. Obviously, the status, the big club in the world, all the rest of it. So all these things are things that could potentially draw Erling Haaland to, say, Real Madrid, for example. I think Madrid want Mbappe. Well, that's another saga in of itself, and I don't think that Madrid can afford to get Haaland or Mbappe unless they'll wait for Mbappe to run down his contract from PSG, because Mbappe has yet to sign a contract with PSG, which would be worrying PSG right now. He has yet to sign a contract. Andre Marville, good to see you, buddy. Harland, I'm a huge fan of Manchester United. We do need him. We do need him. I agree with that. If Harland stays this summer, I think the summer after he will go to. I don't think he's going to stay. Certainly with the whole visiting around of the different things, I'd be very surprised if he did stay. He might, but I'd be very surprised. Barcelona, to be honest, I genuinely thought was in the race because I thought they were broke and they've got their own messy situation. So why would Erling Haaland go to Barcelona? Well, really, to be honest, right now is the opportunity to play with Messi and potentially high wages. But aside from that, I can't really think of any other reason why. Yes, they've got some young talent coming through in Puig, and they've got Dembele there and a few others. But to be honest, Barcelona if Real Madrid are in the process of a rebuild, Barcelona are like not even beginning it. And personally for me, obviously the president wants to make a status new signing for Barca. As Barca in debt, exactly. But apparently they have mine. Apparently they're linked. But my big issue with Barcelona is that, or why it doesn't, is that this is again the same situation they had with buying Coutinho, buying Antoine Griezmann, buying Ousmane Dembele, buying all these players, is that you're now still making the same mistake that you made in previous seasons. Why are you not focusing on the areas that you need to strengthen, which is your defense and your midfield? I just don't see ending well, but that's just a personal take as to why I just think that he's not going to Manchester. He's not going to Barcelona. Sorry. Let's have a look. A few comments. I said, Harland, we really need you. Harland when he goes to Barca, but then he realizes he's going to play a brave way. Well, this is the thing, exactly. Don't disrespect Goatway, man. Don't disrespect Goatway at all. Don't disrespect Martin Goatway is what I call him, Martin Goatway. So leave the dude alone. But the thing is that it's just if Barcelona were to sign Harland, they don't have the money, and it's just another luxury signing that doesn't really do anything for the full squad. Even if you have Messi, Harland, and let's say Ousmane Dembele or Griezmann or whatever on the wing, it still doesn't resolve everything else, and you still have the same problems, you know. Dortmund, I think, are being a bit naive with that price, and they might not be in Champions League next season. You'd be right, but it has to be on Haaland to force the move. You know, as obviously United transfer dealt with Dortmund last year with Sancho, they didn't budge. They didn't budge, and now I don't know whether United still linked with Sancho, but now you can see the consequence of it now. So Dortmund are not going to budge. They're not going to budge. And specifically Raiola, who obviously benefits significantly from the fee, you know, he's not going to budge either. Looking at the actual English teams, Chelsea obviously probably I would say are favorites in my opinion, because one, Chelsea can spend the 150 million. They can easily. Bram will do it. He might still one or two players, but you know, Abramovich has no problem spending that kind of dough. They need a striker because Werner seems to be bantery, and Giroud's probably on his way, and Tammy Abrams not good enough. So they certainly need someone who can finish their chances. They certainly have the money. Chelsea. The only thing with Chelsea is that it seems that strikers go to Chelsea to die for some reason, aka Higuain, Morata, Werner clearly. And various others, you know, so that's a problem. But also just where Chelsea are as a football club. But to be honest, when you look at the players that they have, when you look at the fact that Chelsea's in London as well, you know, the wages, he'll obviously get decent wages as well, and the fact that if he does well at Chelsea can still be seen as a stepping stone club to another club later down the line as well. And there doesn't seem to be any beef with Raiola. So to be honest, I would argue that Chelsea are probably the favourites compared to other English clubs, in my opinion, because I think the other two, well, basically other United clubs, have their own respective issues. And I say Liverpool, I just don't think that FSG is going to spend that amount of money. I'm going to quickly go to your questions in a second. Do you think United are interested in Sancho? I think they still are. And I think they're interested in Sancho and Harland, but we're not going to get either one of them based on the money. So, but I think that, you know, it's an interesting one because we are still interested. There's rumors that Ollie's going to get a 200 million war chest to sign his players, but I don't think that's going to happen. We need to sell players as well. So I don't know is the answer to my question, because we still have been linked, but me thinks that Ahmad is basically the Sancho solution. And if he is, that's fine, but he needs to play more games at the end of the season. Yeah, I'm assuming that's in relation to Ahmad and the other players, I would imagine. Harland Barca is not one time. Barca may be your career going to suffer. Move to an English side. Harland Barca is not one time. Barca may be a career to an English side. Yeah, I mean, if I was advising Harland, I definitely say not to move to Barca because I wouldn't move to a side that is currently in a massive that needs a massive rebuild. In my personal opinion, I just don't think that it's going to work. Chelsea wasting another talent, obviously. Thoughts on Sevilla one aiming for Kunde? Should we walk away after that? I mean, it's the problem with Manchester United right now is that like the amount of you know, the amount of, you know, the price that other clubs will charge for us is extortion because they know that we will spend that money. So that's why Manchester United have to be smart and have to be clever. You know, we can't spend 80 million on a defender when we spent a further 80 million on a previous defender that didn't work out. So we need to be cautious and need to look at other options. And I believe there are good options out there. City spent 60 million on Ruben Diaz. Look at that. Look at that. So there are other options. Varane, obviously, if you look at the video that I posted yesterday, there's reports that if Varane's going to go, his release cost is 59 million. So let's go for that. You know, there are definitely other options, and we need to look and have other options. I think that's important. I really do. Shane says, I agree. We rather have Harland than Sancho. IMAX Football, big up, man. Thank you very much, man. This bro, guys. If you're listening, please head over to his channel. There's 2 channels, a City channel and this channel where it's just it's other footballing teams than his specific City channel. So please head over and go and support both of those channels. Subscribe, show the love. It goes a long way. So please go and check his videos. A lot of very good content all round. Wait, GY, don't we get Roy Keane to negotiate? Yeah, like that's gonna happen. Like that is gonna happen. And a super chat from IMAX. Thank you for the donation, Dub. I really, really appreciate that. So it's been a while actually. So thank you so much, bro. I really appreciate it. Our coach needs to sell Twansibi and buy another defender. Who's gonna buy him? Maybe Villa, I guess. We could maybe try and I was with Twansibi because he was, I think, at Villa and got them up. I always thought that it would be if we're not going to use Twansibi, to use him in a makeshift deal to get Grealish. You know, we'll give you Twansibi for, maybe, 15, somewhere between 10 to 15 mil, or maybe 12 mil, and then pay with cash for Grealish. That might be a reasonable deal, Just briefly on the Manchester teams, on their chances. Manchester United, I think the big thing with, say, United over City is that United wages, United can certainly, not that City can't, but City is not the usual frame, is that United can pay the wages more so, I'd argue, than City, even though City can, in terms of wanting, but also the fee. And I've yet to see Manchester City spend over 100 million on a player. That could change. That could change, but I've just yet to see it. I've yet to see, I've yet to see City spend 100 million player. And I said, while that could change, it just seems very unusual that in a team of Pep Guardiola's where it's all about the team, I guess, and everyone working together, that you'd basically spend 100+ million on a player, 150 million, and give him exuberant wages compared to the rest of your team. That is always a problem because it creates player imbalance. That said, if the report in Manchester United even uses to believe, Pep seems to be a fan of Harland, City are interested to get him, and if they can, they will get him. So that's obviously a possibility. Our coach needs to, yes, that. And I'm saying, G, would you give up on Greenwood to get Harland? That's an interesting one. You've got to say yes, but I'd rather send Greenwood out on loan. I'd rather send Greenwood out on loan than give him up, because Greenwood is someone that, for me, has a loads of potential, but it just needs to be coached better. And with someone who's basically, with the goals I've seen Greenwood score and his two-footedness, for me right now, he's our most intelligent forward. I'll bet his decision-making can still be improved. It's still better right now. So I'd take him on loan if I was personally honest. I wouldn't sell him. Would you take Kane over Harland? That's a good question, actually. Yay and nay. So yay, because he's Premier League proven, he's experienced, and he can just slot right in. No cultural barriers or issues. The only issue I have with Kane is that, one, Kane is older, and two, Kane has recurrent injuries. He's been having injury issues for quite some time. And do you want to spend the same amount on getting an older player who's somewhat injury prone, or do you want to spend that amount of money getting a player who's got good potential, who's demonstrated at the highest level, bear in mind highest level in the Champions League, who's not as injury prone? I would probably go with Harland in that respect. But if all things being equal, if you told me Kane would never be injured, then I probably would go slightly for Kane. What do you think of the two Manchester United instead? He's okay. He's all right as a support striker. But I don't think he's what we need. You know, if we need a, I've always said that United need a proper number 9. With the way that we play, we're playing a 4-2-3-1 type of system. I think the United need a proper number 9 to do that. And Martial kind of ish, but yeah, I think that we need a proper. I think we need a proper number 9 anyway. That's my that's my 2 cents. And I don't think Martial, Rashford, Greenwood are that, and certainly Greenwood's not that yet anyway. Manchester United finally, and just to round things up, I guess the question is, what is likelihood that Harland will come to Manchester United? Well, the only advantage, to be honest, United have over City really is the fact that I think that we pay him more money, that we can obviously meet the release clause, and that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is Norwegian and had experience with Haaland. That's it. It's that Erling Haaland and Ole he's been his previous coach, and I suspect that they get on, they find their cool, and I think that if Erling Haaland was to go to Manchester United, he'd basically say, "Listen," and this is an interesting point. This is an interesting point. I'll say this is that. If Erling Haaland were to go to Manchester United, speaking to the Glazers and stuff, it would be almost under the precedent that sorry, I want to say it would be almost under the precedent that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to stay. It's going to be on the precedent Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is going to stay. So everyone that's saying we got to get a better manager, we got to get a new someone coming in, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen if we want Harland, because Harland is not going to say, "Oh, I want a better." If Harland chooses Manchester United, it will be in part because of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. It will be in part because he's like, "Yeah, okay, I want to, I want to come to Manchester United because I've worked with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer before. He helped me to achieve where I want to achieve. And I know that I'm going to be the main man at Manchester United. I know I'm going to move at Manchester United. I'm going to be picked in, week out. I'm going to go." And I think if that's the case, if United were to go for Harland, you can pretty much say goodbye to Martial, in my opinion. I think you can pretty much say goodbye to Martial, unless Martial's happy on the left, in which case you're going to have that role shared between Rashford and Martial, which I don't think at this stage Martial wants. So for me, Martial, it's end game for Martial if we end up getting Harland. Daniel James, and let alone if we get Sancho, Daniel James out of it as well, so I think on the balance of play, United probably have slightly more things. Well, they're balanced-ish. You still got the world-class manager in Pep and the City winning trophies. But the negative with City, obviously, Pep's not Norwegian, but more so the whole thing with Mino Raiola. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. And I think it will come down to the end of the day is Mino Raiola. Can Mino Raiola work with Pep? Can he work with the Manchester United board? Can he work with Ole? Does this mean that if he does come to United, that suddenly it's like, okay, sure, you can have Harland, but I need you to get Pogba a good deal so I can go? These are the things that we need to think about going forward. But that's it. Thanks, guys. I've gone live half an hour. Just last few comments before we end the stream. But I just thought I'd go live about it. So it will be just interesting to talk about it. Let's have a look. We don't need Kane. Should we get Big Ron back? I don't think so. I think that time has passed. To me, seems like you're a Manchester United fan. Yeah, I'm a Manchester United fan. Although I do watch other teams and support other things. What should be our priority this summer? Yes, make sure if you guys are still watching, if there are any questions, please leave them below. I'll answer a few more questions before we just end the stream. Let's have a look. What should be our priority this summer? What should our priority be this summer? For me, the key thing is that is Cavani. Because if Cavani goes away, then we need to get a striker. We need a number 9. So Cavani is a stopgap. So if Cavani leaves, and there's a good chance that Cavani is going to leave, then we need a striker. Because if we don't get a striker in, then we're back to Rashford, Martial, Daniel James, and Greenwood. And okay, Ahmad, if you throw him in terms of the forwards, that's our 5. You know, are those 5 players going to take Manchester United forward next season? I don't see that from Daniel James. I think he needs to go out on loan, to be honest, possibly to a Leeds. Obviously, sorry, Lingard as well. Lingard, I think, should stay on loan at West Ham. Greenwood can still develop, but I think he needs a number 9 around. Martial, is he going to pick up his form again or not? We don't know. And Rashford. So it's all dependent on Cavani. If Cavani stays, we can delay getting a forward to another year, potentially. But if he goes, we need it. So for me, assuming Cavani's gone, we need a striker, we need a centre-back, we need a CDM, and we need a right winger. Those are the 4 priority areas if we're going to take this team to the next level. And I think that we need to get all 4. Okay, this season has shown really that we need all 4. In different games, different seasons, you're like, right, we definitely needed a centre-back because we made terrible errors, we're running to pace. In the game, like for example, the Leicester game was like, we need a better CDM who can give us stability in that midfield. We need a right winger. We need someone who can help create chances for our attackers, a proper right winger, or another attacking winger, and then we need a striker for the reasons I said. So those would be my priorities there anyway. Shout out to Red Manx TV. Sorry, bro, that I wasn't able to send you a video. I've been a bit busy, but I'll certainly try and get involved more so once I'm a bit more settled with stuff. But yes, he probably will end up in Spain. I would imagine Madrid. No matter what, Darren James in my general is run around for 90 minutes. That is true. That is true. I can't disagree. He scores some goals, but I mean, he's getting a bit better. But for me, he's supposed to be a winger, and he's now becoming more of like an inside forward, which I don't like. As a winger, you're supposed to provide width to the team and also to create chances for your number 9. And I want to see more of that, not just him coming inside and trying to score a goal. MCH7, is this real? Yes, it's real, or it appears to be real. So they're certainly having talks, because obviously, if you're late into the stream, Raiola, Erling Haaland started going around having talks with big clubs about a possible signing. So yes, I suspect this is real. Why does Ollie hate Dutch kids? I've got no idea about Van der Beek. I'm hoping that, maybe this is it. And you bring up a good point, because maybe what we're seeing is a situation where Pogba is going to leave in the summer, and Pogba potentially is a makeshift for Harland. Maybe that's it. Raiola says you can get Harland, but you're going to have to get Pogba out. I'm going to have to get a good deal. He's like, okay, fine. Pogba goes. We get the money. We use that Pogba money to pipe Erling Haaland. Raiola says Haaland could come to Manchester United, and he comes to Manchester United, and then Van der Beek obviously comes into that midfield role. So suddenly you're going to play a midfield of, Fred and McTominay, Van der Beek, and Bruno. That's what you're going to get. I wouldn't be surprised. KSI, man, thank you for coming to the stream. Long time no see. What's Fabrizio saying on Harland? He's saying he's going to touring on the big clubs. Yeah, we're not. Why isn't Martial fit? Because he was on the bench in the last game against Fran. I don't think he's fit, and I think he's injured, and I think there's some other issues going on, which we won't find out for a while. We could give Cavani a few years. I don't think so. I think we could give Cavani a year, but his injury rate, the injuries that he picks up, I'm not I wouldn't give him 3 years, definitely. Andre says, without Cavani and Rashford and Mason Green and Daniel, we don't have a forward line. Well, exactly. And I'm not sure whether we're going to give Cavani a new contract. And Daniel James, reasons, so I don't know. Andrew Marville says the coach have Bruno Fernandes on the bench in SCT every cup match and Cavani and make we lose. You can't bench a baller scoring for the yeah. It's rest though. It's rest and rotation. And to be honest, that squad should have been big enough to actually good enough to. Well, I won't say good enough to beat Leicester because Leicester's a solid side, but it should still have competed. And we lost the game because of poor defensive errors and midfield DM. Well, that Fred and McTominay Matic had mares basically, so it is what it is. Matchday Blog, shout out to my fellow Southampton brothers. Please head over to his channel and subscribe. Does a lot of good Southampton content, and hopefully we'll be doing some joint stuff next season. And I hope he's recovered after that 9-0. I want Harland in the Prem. I don't care where. Just somebody please get him here. Yeah, I mean, I love to see Erling Haaland in the Premier League. I love to see him compete at the highest level. I think if he does, I think if he goes to City, I think that's dangerous. I think if he goes to Chelsea, that'll be dangerous. So I think he goes to United, it might be semi-dangerous, but let's see what happens. Because I think that he's definitely leaving Dortmund. It's just a question of where, isn't it? Nope. Because because we're going to go back to the same problem that we have already at United, which is a lack of imagine. I can imagine that people say if Pogba goes in the summer and we did that, then people go, yeah, United are awesome, and I go, well, who's creating the chances for Harland? You got to bear in mind that Harland. I mean, from what I'm seeing from Erling Haaland, I mean, yes, he can create his own chances, but he still does need. People to create chances for him. So if you're going to get a player like him, you need to still provide players to support him and give him chances. Otherwise, it'll be a flop. Most likely United will get him. We've been linked all the time. Well, we'll see what happens, Asher. We'll see what happens. You say Man United will get him. We tried to get him, but Asher, we tried. But let's be real. We should have got him before he went to Dortmund. That was the best time. There was not as much competition. No one else was looking at him. He would have been a lot cheaper. I don't know. I think Dortmund spent, how much did they spend? Was it 60-something million, possibly? He'd have been a lot cheaper. Now, he's now 3 times the price. Typical Manchester United, Scott McTominay is the beast. Yeah, going as a box to box, I'll give you that. But there's a DM, and most likely United will get him. Okay, this is less of the game. Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It is what it is. Lost Scotch no shout out to him. Says, let's be real. United are the bottom of his options. You say that, but the thing is that. And I was saying that when I started talking about Madrid and Barca, is that it's not holistically. You've got to think of these things holistically. A lot of times as fans, we just think of it as a player solely just, which team can I go to compete for the Champions League or win a domestic title? But you need to also think about the wages, how much money the player is going to get. That's not an insignificant thing. You also have to think about brand. Erling, especially with Raiola clients, you look at Raiola clients, Pogba, Zlatan, and so on. These are brand players. These are players that Raiola wants to make these players brands. So if I'm going to a particular club, is that club going to take not only my football to the next level, but my brand to the next level? Because Harland already has a brand at Dortmund, but is it like a super brand? Whatever you say about Pogba going to United and how it's affected, he's still a bigger player worldwide than he was at Juventus because of the brand appeal. So that's one thing that's very important as well. And then the other thing is just game time and getting into the team. At the end of the day, if in the case of, say, Madrid, Erling Haaland goes and Zidane's like, well, you're going to be part of my plans, much like Van der Beek at United. Well, you're going to be part of my plans, but actually I'm starting Benzema ahead of you, he's my first choice number 9, and I'm backing with him, you can just sort of come on and get involved. Is that what a player wants? Some players are happy with that. Other players are not happy with that. So it's just important to bear that in mind, in my opinion. That there's more factors around a player's decision to move to a big club than just solely can I compete for the Champions League or league title, although that's obviously a major one. Dortmund got him for Samson. Dortmund got him for 20 mil. That is, I mean, 20 mil, man. Saying United couldn't have said, listen, get him for. See, United again. Could have said to Salzburg, Chris Monte, no, get him, spend whatever it is to get him. 20 mil. But obviously, he decided to go to Dortmund. That's fair, but it just is what it is. It is what it is, isn't it? If you think our coach is going to let Bruno Fernandes go and finish with Manchester United, he's not going to let Bruno Fernandes go. He won't. I think that was a speculative question as to whether you take Bruno over Harland. I don't think Bruno Fernandes is going to leave Manchester United ever. My point was just that this idea of exchange Bruno for Harland is a nonsense, because who's going to create the chances for Harland? That's the important thing. Anyway, guys, thank you guys for getting so much involved. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United X. Smash that notification button for latest Manchester United news. We'll be doing a community update sometime soon, where I'm going to tell you a bit of the future of the channel. That it's not just United content that we're going to be doing, but we're going to be doing other footballing stuff as well. As you can see, there's a bit of a rebrand going on the channel. I'm still a United fan, but I want to cover a lot of other stuff so that I'm not as just bound to Manchester United. So we're going to be, especially the Red Devil Live podcast and stuff, we're going to be looking at not just the Premier League, but also other teams as well. So expect more videos about my opinions on what's going on at PSG, what's going on at Bayern Munich, Dortmund, etc., as we move the channel forward. I'm still going to be delivering you that Manchester United content, but expect other things as well to get involved as we try and continue to grow the community. Have a nice day, everyone, and cheers.